You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
All right. Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a black belt who trains at Square One Jiu-Jitsu Academy located in Kansas City, Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Smith.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, my brother?
Nothing much, man. Just training as always, training as usual. Getting ready for some tournaments coming up here with my students soon, and yeah, just enjoying life. I recently became a new father again, so
Congratulations.
thank you. I've just been doing the dad life thing, and training and working in the cannabis industry.
Nice. Well,
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about all that. So,
that's what's up.
but yeah, man, let's get the ball rolling, man. If you want to formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah, so I started in jiu-jitsu in 2008 when I was 21. I had some things going on in my life that just made my life pretty difficult. And I was kind of a fat loser and just coming home and drinking every day. And my buddy's like, I didn't do jujitsu for a long time. I started in 2008, but like I've done martial arts like since I was 6. So I started in Wushu style kung fu, and then I did Superfoot Wallace kickboxing, and I did not kickboxing. It's like point sparring, you know what I mean? And then I did
Yeah.
actual kickboxing with the Joe Louis systems under John Graham in Mobile, Alabama. And those 3 things were all conglomerated into one thing. And so by the time I was like 21, I had done a couple of MMA fights. I didn't have any real ground game to speak of. Wrestling wasn't prevalent where we were from. We didn't have any kind of wrestling in Mobile, Alabama. So, 21, like I was just not doing anything. I hadn't trained in a while. An old buddy of mine hit me up. It's like, dude, you need to quit being a piece of shit. I hope it's okay that I swear on here because I swear a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine.
That's cool. That's cool. So yeah, he's like, dude, you're being a fat piece of shit, and you need to get up off your ass and do something. So he's a good friend of mine, Pat Langan. Shout out to him. He's the one that really got me into jiu-jitsu. And I got in there and I started training. The first black belt I ever trained with was Adriano Lucio, and
Okay.
I'll never forget my first day with him. Man, he picked me up on his feet like a child and just dropped me into an armbar. And he's like 165 pounds soaking wet, and I'm like, at the time, I'm overweight. I'm almost 240 pounds, at the time. And he just picked me up on his feet like I was a child, And here I am with all this like experience in the martial arts, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking like, I'm gonna punch this guy's face, and he's just like, oh, it's super nice, and come on, brother, you're doing good. Picks me up like a fucking child and drops me into an armbar, and I'm just like, wow. At first, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like back then, especially, like the ego was heavy, and I was just like, bro, I want to fucking punch this guy in the face some more. You know what I mean? But then he was so nice. I mean, I really think that's what made me stick with jiu-jitsu. Like there are some really, really, really nice people in jiu-jitsu, and I just happened to luck up on the first black belt I ever trained with was not a douchebag. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I
Right.
probably wouldn't have come back. So like I tell all my students these days is like, when someone new comes to the academy, it costs you nothing to be nice to someone. And like
Exactly.
I just remember my first experience in jiu-jitsu as someone being super nice to me, even though they were fucking me up, right? And I just thought the duality of that was so cool, man. Like it's just like
Yeah, I know,
you
right?
you can fuck somebody up and you can like take their life, but you don't, right? And you're just like you just be nice, you know that you can, and that's where the real confidence comes in. So I trained with him in 2008, and I was just kind of hooked, and after that, like I went under the tutelage of Elio Seneca. For those of you guys who don't know, Elio Seneca is the first IBJJF world champion in history, and I trained with him up until I got my purple belt. And it was a weird thing with him because Seneca was going back and forth from Brazil. He was on a visa, so he lived 3 months in Brazil, and then he'd come and live 3 months in Louisville, Kentucky, which was cool. But at the time, I was a purple belt and I owned an academy in a rural area because there wasn't a lot of jiu-jitsu around. and I needed better training for me so that I could help my guys and push them to the next level. And him being around, 6 months out of the year wasn't going to cut it. So I eventually I tried a few other schools, but what I ended up landing in was Athos. Landed under the Athos affiliation, under the
Okay.
tutelage of Evan Ramsden, who's a black belt directly under Andre Galval. And yeah, man, that is when I really started to hone in on build my jujitsu skills. Evan exposed me to jujitsu that I had never seen before because up until that point, I didn't realize that there's a difference between training jujitsu and then training it with a purpose, like world class athletes do. And I didn't realize the
Mm-hmm.
difference because I had always been told by like dumb fucking black belts out there, like to just run their mouth without any any kind of like proof behind it. They just run their mouths and express their opinion, which is okay. But like I've always been told they're like, oh, everybody learns the same jujitsu. That's not fucking true at all, man. Like that's not true. Like
At
there's good, yeah, there is good jujitsu, and then there's world class jujitsu. That's why like John Danaher is like the cream of the crop when it comes to when it comes to like high level coaching and stuff. It's like nobody can touch him, and why? Because he's doing a strategy that very few people are doing, if any at all. So
Yeah.
I got my brown belt under Atos, and kind of around the time that the slap happened between Gordon and Andre, there was a bunch of political things going on in Atos at the time, and it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. And then another thing happened within our within the association, and I was just like, I was done with it. So right before I moved from Alabama, um, I went under the direction of Henzo Gracie Academy under my friend Roberto De Cayo. And Roberto opened the Henzo Gracie affiliation in my hometown after I left. So like I lived in Mobile all my life until let's see, when did we move? 2013. And then in
Mm-hmm.
2014, we had opened our academy in Central Alabama, and that's where we stayed till 2021. So right after I got my brown belt, I had left Atos and went under the direction of Roberto De Cayo, who is under Henzo Gracie. And when I say he's under Henzo Gracie, let me just clarify. This is not somebody who did some seminars with Henzo, and then Henzo's like, "Oh, you could pay me an affiliation fee, and now you're my black belt, you're my affiliate, you're a professor under me." It wasn't like that. No, no, no. Let me make you understand something about Humberto, since nobody knows who he is. I got to take the time to like really
Yeah.
explain.
Hey,
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
Humberto and John Danaher started as white belts together. He lived 25 years in New York and trained in the Blue Basement with John Danaher, Ricardo Arona, Matt Serra, George St. Pierre, like all those guys that are there, Gordon, Gary Tonin, like all those fucking guys, man.
Wow.
So like that is the last professor that I was under before I left Alabama. And when I moved to Missouri, to Kansas City, like, I kind of had been on my own. Like I trained with some guys around here. And
Mm-hmm.
then I ended up getting my black belt under the recommendation of Jason Bircher and Josh Littleton. But the one who actually presented it to me was Renato Tavares. Gave me my black belt last year on November 10th, 2023. So yeah, I received my black belt from Renato Tavares. And I don't really train with Renato that much, but like it was one of those things. It's like you train with the guys in the association, the head of the association gives the promotion. But
Mm-hmm.
who I really trained with was Jason Bircher and Josh Littleton, like most of the time. And they gave the recommendation for Renato to promote me to black belt. So he promoted me, but I really feel like it was them. So, yeah,
Wow.
so then in August of last year, I opened Square One Jiu Jitsu here in Kansas City, specifically in the Lee Summit area. And we've been going on for the last year, and we're growing slowly. I had the birth of my son, took a derailment. He was born 10 weeks early, so we had a lot of hurdles to overcome to get to bring him home. But he's home now, and everything's good. But that's kind of where I'm at now, like leading to modern day, like present day. Yeah.
Man. Wow. Yeah, because I remember we were supposed to do the episode a little while ago, and you were telling me about your son. So very very happy and excited to hear that he's doing a lot better.
Thank
Because
you.
you know being a first time parent is
Oh
it's
no,
not fun.
this is my second
Oh,
kid.
it's your
This is my
second.
second.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
a
you're
new
fine.
dad.
You're fine.
Yeah, I'm just a new dad again.
You're
I have a
right.
3-year-old daughter. She actually just started her first jujitsu classes last week. It's pretty
Ah,
cool.
that's dope.
Yeah,
That's
and
dope.
I'll be honest with you, dude. Like, I'll be honest with you. Everybody like thinks they're looking forward to the day that they get their black belt, but I'll tell you, man. Honestly, my daughter's first day of jujitsu was more exciting to me than the day I got my black belt. Like, I was giddy as a schoolboy, man. I laughed, I cried, I
Hell
hugged her. I was just like,
yes,
I couldn't believe it. And like, I always had
yes.
this thing. Everybody's like, well, you're a black belt, of course you're going to teach your kids and da da da. And I've seen a lot of my friends. I really want to say this because there's a lot of people out there that think, like they have it in their head of being this awesome coach to their kids and like, oh, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, that's true. But I've seen a lot of people bring up their kids in jujitsu and the kids like turned away from it because they saw it as like more of dad's thing or something. And
Hmm.
I feel like this could be mitigated. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if the kids show interest in jujitsu, then as a parent, like you should kind of like distance yourself from that feeling that they want to do it instead of like, oh, I love it when you do jujitsu. It's like you almost don't want to react at all. You almost want to like make it their thing. It's like, oh, you think jujitsu is cool? Oh, that's cool. So do I. Not even make it a big deal.
Yeah.
And then I decided I was like, I've seen all my black belt friends, well, not all of them, but a lot of them try to teach their kids or try to teach their wives or teach their family members. And it seems like the closer you are to someone personally, like the harder it is to be their coach, right? So like I
It
learned that
is.
with my
It
brother.
is.
Yeah, I learned that with my brother and my wife. My wife's a purple belt. My brother, both of my brothers actually trained for a little while, and both of
Hmm.
them were hard as hell to teach. But when it came to my kid, uh, I was just like, no, I want someone else to teach my kid because sometimes when you're a coach, you have to be a hard ass, right? And like when you're a hard ass on your kid as a coach, they got to come home to not the coach, but now they got to come home to daddy, right? And now they can't vent to dad about their coach being an asshole, right? So like if someone else is hard on them, they don't have to go home with them and deal with them, right? So like when they come home and they're feeling defeated and they had a tough day on the mat or the coach, like came down on them a little bit, they can come home and vent in a safe space instead of having to be at home with the coach who yelled at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
See,
that's a big difference.
yeah, I get that. I get that because my daughter, so like same thing you said, like you get your black belt. It's something you work for, you work hard for, you finally get it, you enjoy it, but it's different when you see like your kids start jujitsu. Like if you ask me what was my like most proudest moment in jujitsu, that would be like seeing my daughter in a gi for the first time,
Right.
giving her a stripe, or just seeing her grow and grow into
Right.
the sport. And that was kind of one of the things I worried about too, being an instructor and then being a dad, and now she wants to do jujitsu is like, trying to separate the two because it's very
Yes.
very hard. Because
Yeah, for sure.
you want to like if your kid is training and they somehow get hurt, it's like, okay, how do you respond? Do you respond as a dad or do you respond as an instructor?
Hmm.
you know so it's like trying to learn the difference between the two. And that's kind of one of the things I talked to my daughter about. I was like, all right, just let I'm still your dad, but right now from 5:30 to to 6 whatever, I'm your coach, I'm your
Yep.
instructor.
Mhm.
Then after that, then I'm your dad again. So
Right. I have that.
she's been cool about it though.
I learned that with my wife actually. Like, so we had an academy in Alabama for 7 years before we moved up here, and before even we had children. And one of the things that I learned being married to my business partner was that I have to be able to separate the business from my marriage and stuff like that because
Mm-hmm.
things would happen, like things would happen at the academy or during training or something, there's words, right? And then it would go home and turn into an even bigger fight. So like
Yeah.
we had to learn over the years, man, that like, hey, when we're at the academy, as soon as we walk out the door, we're husband and wife again. You know what I mean? And when we walk and vice versa, when we walk through the door, we're in the academy again. We're business partners. Like, you know, I'm the head coach and you're the assistant coach. And like, we have a pecking order, like, and that's how it goes, like it has to be that way. So we
Yeah.
practice. It took some practice, but we got that down really well. But that's two adults. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you have an adult and a kid,
And a kid.
they don't see you anything different. Unless you really take the time to do that. And it's a lot harder with the kid. And I just think that like for me personally, I just wanted to, you know, avoid every bit of that. Like I would love to
Yeah.
be the guy who gives my daughter like tips, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like the guy that teaches her day to day that's got to come down on her, the guy that teaches her like drive and things like that. I don't want to be that because I don't want her to have to feel like I don't want to play any role with my daughter except dad. You know what I mean? I don't want to
Yeah.
be her coach. I'm a hard ass coach, man. Like any of my guys will tell you. You know what I mean? Like um, I, I flip a switch, really. I mean, I know I can tell when people needs like direct, clear line of communication, and I can tell when somebody needs a drill sergeant. You know what I mean? Through experimentation, like I can be either one of those. I can fulfill either one of those roles, or anywhere in
Mm-hmm.
between. And I just don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do. I just don't want to do that with my daughter. I'll be the guy that gives her a quick tip, like, shift your hip that way on that omoplata. See if you can tighten it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Or come up on your sweep a little bit faster or something. You know what I mean? Like I would rather give tips when it comes to my kid than try to be her professor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm all she got.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah. And 2 weeks their own. I mean, when Heidi and my wife, when we started, I mean, we were all each other had too. I mean, we were training
Mm-hmm.
together and bouncing around from gym to gym at first until we landed under Seneca. And then when we moved from the coast further inland, dude, we were always just training together. It was just us, and there was not a whole lot of good jujitsu around. So like we ended up we ended up being all each other had too. So I definitely feel that. I mean, if that's all you got to work with, that's all you got. So I mean,
Yeah,
like
it's all we got. It's all we got. Right. Yeah.
everybody's situation is different, brother. So like I don't fault anyone who wants to teach their kids or family members or anybody really. It's just like everybody has different life circumstances, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, and
Yeah,
just it's no fault to anybody as an instructor. Some people just can't teach family members because
I
they
agree.
they see you as that role, and that's a conversation that me and my wife had. Like she admitted like it's difficult to learn from me because of that's I'm her husband and like and
Right.
whatnot. So it's like I was like I get it because it's like to me I know what you're capable of and I see what you're capable of, but you don't. So it's just like, no, do it right. And I know you can do it right, but that just comes with practice, I guess.
Yeah, man. My wife, I got really lucky. She ran out of opportunities to wrestle. She came from a big wrestling family. They were from Wisconsin, and they moved down
Oh,
to
of course.
Mobile, Alabama when she was 12. And
Mm-hmm.
her dad wrestled in the army, wrestled in college, and then he was the coach of their wrestling program when they moved to Mobile. And then once high school was over and wrestling opportunities ran out, then my wife was still looking to grapple. So that's how she ended up in jiu-jitsu, and that's how we ended up meeting. And actually, when I proposed to her, if you go online on YouTube and type in the BJJ proposal, that's my proposal video to my wife. Like we got engaged on the mat in the middle of class. Got like
That's what's up.
80 something thousand views on YouTube. It's like an ancient video now. I think it was like 2011 or 2012, something like that. But yeah, it was. I mean, I got really lucky that I already had a wife um, that grappled and did it competitively. And circling back to something that you said, like that made this come up in my mind, is that you said some people like you can teach some people and some people you can't. I realized a long time ago that I am not a good instructor for a woman unless that woman wants to be a competitor, right? Because that's how I do things. I do things the iron way. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah,
gonna be hard.
yeah.
They're gonna be tough. You know what I mean? And that's it's not to say that like a woman can't like rise to the occasion because I definitely had students over the years that have, that just came in as this little feeble like weakling and became this like strong embodiment of like an empowered woman. And that's not my coaching, that's her doing the work, but she did what I asked her to do, and then she
Mm-hmm.
became this fucking monster, you know, that goes and wins IBJJF gold and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, I can work with anybody if they're willing to do the things that I ask them to do. But if it's a woman who's coming in like for self defense or like you know, anything other than competition, it's very difficult for me to work with that, because I'm not gonna be uh as a coach, I'm not gonna have a whole lot of empathy like when I'm teaching, because like we're here for a certain reason. You know what I mean? Like this is not about feelings. This is not about like, you know, I I, I know that jujitsu is a tool to like make your life better, but like that's not what we're actually doing in the academy. We're in the academy, we're putting in the work. After we put in the work after class and shit like that, you want to talk, you want to talk about life, you want to like have empathy, stuff like that. I'm all about that shit. But like during
Yeah.
class, it's like, hey, we came here to put work in. We have an hour and a half. We got shit to do. If we're on that clock, no fucking talking. Like, let's just train. Let's roll. Like, you know what I mean? And then after, there's a Q&A portion. You know, if you want to ask questions after class, if you want to stay and talk, things like that. Like, that's what I'm about. And a lot of women like come to the class and they don't like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, this is the way I coach. So, you
Right.
know, take a class, you know, take a woman's only class or like whatever makes you feel comfortable. I'm here to make everybody be comfortable being uncomfortable. So if you're coming in just trying to be comfortable with being comfortable, like I'm not the instructor for you. And over the years, I've gotten used to just being like, okay, I'm not gonna take this personally. Maybe they just need a different kind of instruction. You know what I mean? I used to take
Mm-hmm.
that real like, why can't I get through to this person? It's like you can't be the instructor for everybody. You know what I mean? Like you have to draw the demographic that responds to you. You know what I mean? And like uh women have a very hard over the years. I've been doing this for 16 years, and over the years I've just noticed that with women, you know, I definitely can coach them if they're willing to like do all the things that I'm gonna ask them to do. And that's more like of the competitive mindset. Like we're a competition school, you know what I mean? Like that's what we do. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I get. All right. Sorry about that. Now where were we?
We
Oh yeah, we
were
were just.
we yeah, we were talking about you know, different types of people that you
Oh
like
yeah, you can't.
recognizing who you can and can't teach and how that's important.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you know, you can't. It's like, yeah, like you said, you can't take that personal because not everyone's gonna learn the way you teach and or understand the way you teach. And it's gonna be like, all right, man, I don't know. There's nothing I can do for you. And, you
Yeah.
know, at some point, get there, like, you know what, I can't do nothing for you.
The most beautiful thing about jujitsu is that you can find an instructor who's for you. You know what I mean? Like the other day, I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to a podcast, the BJJ Fanatics podcast with my boy Ryan Ford, and he was talking about
Mm-hmm.
the best thing, his most favorite thing in jujitsu is that like you can be good at whatever you want in jujitsu. It's where you put your focus. And my focus, I've known for a really long time, is that I'm one of those kind of guys that when I ran my academy full time, I trained 6 days a week. 3 of those days were 2 a days. You know what I mean? And I was at my academy 7 days a week. So it's like, those kind of guys are one percenters. And like I at Atos, we had very, very high standards, and like it's almost like if you trained at Atos, you were expected to be like a one percenter. Like you expected to give up your whole life for jujitsu. You know what I mean? At the time, I don't know if
Right.
it's still like that. That's been a couple of years, but like I was, one of those one percenter guys that just trained all fucking day. And it's just like, you know, for me, my goal is to take jujitsu and make it where pro skateboarding is, currently. Like pro skateboarders who
Oh
only get paid.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Tony
Yeah.
Hawk. How much money has Tony Hawk made? And Bucky Lassick and like Chad Muska and Bam Margera. Like all like I grew up skateboarding. I was one of those kids. You know what I mean? I was a vagrant skateboarder. I wasn't very good, but like I watched pro skateboarding in my lifetime go from something that everyone's like, don't waste your life with that. And in video games too, right? Like there's pro video gamers, and now I'm watching both of those industries, skateboarding and video gamers, like making money, and like all these things,
Monumental.
right? And dude, like we were told what? Don't waste your time with that. There's no future in that. We were also told you can't take a fucking calculator everywhere you go to. How did that work out? That didn't age well, did it?
I know, right? I got one on my phone. I got one on my phone, one on my watch.
All this shit people are giving us advice about is like, you don't know you can't see into the future, bitch. So my thing about it is it's like, dude, like let's we had CJI this weekend, Craig Jones Invitational, for those of you guys who are not in the know. Awesome fucking team. Did you watch it, Lamar?
Oh, I watched the whole thing, dude.
Oh, me too, dude. I could not take my fucking eyes off of it. It was so good. And all the antics with Craig and Gabby, I just thought were so funny. They brought back Renato Laranja's career. Like, that dude had disappeared forever. And then he's just all of a sudden in Craig Jones' corner wearing a gi with a microphone screaming obscenities. It was great. I thought the whole thing was amazing. But my point is, it's like, we're doing things like this now. Like, this was never heard of before. Like, $1 million tournament. Like, what the fuck? $1 million?
$1 million.
Cade Rotolo became a 21-year-old millionaire. What the fuck? Like, the fact that that's possible now in jiu-jitsu is just insane to me. And I want to cultivate this. I want to keep fueling this. I want to know what's next. I want to be a part of it. Like, it's part of why I'm making time to do this podcast, man, because I love this shit and I want to leave a legacy for my children. You know what I mean? I may never be a world champion, but like, I want to leave a legacy for my children. You know what I mean? Whether they decide to pursue jiu-jitsu with their life and become like a 1%er, or whether they decide, I just want to be an academy owner, or if they decide I don't want to have anything to do with it and they sell the academy to somebody that's worthy. I want to leave my children a legacy of something valuable that their parents gave to them. You know what I mean? And that is, to me, that is the ultimate goal. And then also, people don't tell you this when you're coming up through the ranks, but dude, you put a lot of jiu-jitsu in your fucking head over the years, a lot, just over and over and over, cycles of learning shit, right? And no one tells you that, like, dude, one day you're gonna have to have a place to put that shit. Just like when you have a computer and the hard drive starts to fill up, what do? You start to get an external hard drive, right?
Yeah, you get another hard drive. Yeah.
Yeah, you send your fucking files. So you know what that is? That's, to me, in jiu-jitsu, that translates as teaching. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Or you delete the stuff that you won't need no more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it gets so built up in your head. It's like, dude, I gotta output this somewhere. Like, I gotta focus on, like, as a black belt, I gotta be focusing on like matrix and like waiter guard and like shit like that, and like all the things that, like, all the basics and the fundamentals and stuff that I already use. Man, I gotta put that shit on something else, because I'm focusing on all these new age techniques and all the the new innovations and things like that. Like, guys that New Wave are doing and B Team are doing. Like, I'm looking, and Atos are doing. Like, I'm looking at all those things, and I'm like, but my basics and my fundamentals. So what do? You put that information onto your students, and they collect data based on their experiences, and that's how they grow in their journeys. And then you're a part of that. So it's a beautiful cycle. But nobody ever told me that through jiu-jitsu. It's like, one day you're gonna have a place to put all this information.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's kind of like one of the reasons why I started this podcast. It was just, I've been doing it. I think, I've been doing this podcast for 2 years now.
Nice.
Give or take. Let me see. 2020. Oh, so 2 years. It'll be 2 years in November, I think. Yeah. Anyway.
Nice.
But yeah, so it's like I got, it was during like, COVID, and, it wasn't like a lot of stuff to do. So it was like, what I did, what everybody else did, decided to start a podcast. Like, I had nothing else to do. So, but then I was like, I was trying to figure out what I wanted it to be about. But I was like, I'm into so much stuff, but some odd reason, like, jiu-jitsu just stuck with me. And just like how you were saying, like, back in the day, no one would ever expect that, like you said, video games and all, stuff that we did as a kid would like blow up to something so big. Whereas like we got cussed out for playing video games all night, and there's kids that's like, as old as my daughter making millions of dollars playing video games. It
Right?
makes me mad. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like when I started this podcast, I was like, for one, I wanted something I can give back to the jiu-jitsu community that I feel like I can. And two, what better way to do it than to talk to everyday people?
That's what
You
I'm
know,
saying, dude.
so it's like I put out a post saying like, hey, I'm looking for guests, and you'll be surprised how many people will message me and be like, hey, the podcast sounds cool, but I'm just a white belt, or I'm just a 2-stripe blue belt, or I'm just a hobbyist. I don't have much of a story to tell. I'm like, you do jiu-jitsu, right? And they're like, yeah. All right, you got a story to tell.
Yeah, I want to touch on that for just a second. Like
Uh-huh.
people get that mentality. I'm just a white belt, or I'm this, or I'm this, or I'm not this. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, if you're in a room, I get this too a lot when it comes to competition training. I'm like, like the guys are just like, well, I'm a white belt. I don't know if I'm gonna come to competition class, or I'm a blue belt, but I'm a hobbyist. I don't compete, so I don't know why I should come to competition class. It's like, dude, stop thinking about your experience level for a second. Start thinking about what you contribute. You know what I mean? Like you're a
Yeah.
body in the room. You're a contributing factor to this art growing. Regardless of whether you just started or you've been doing this 50 fucking years, bro. Like anywhere in between. It doesn't matter. You're part of the process now. You're a part of your own success, like with your journey, and you're also a part of someone else's success. If they're the competition, like if they're competing in the competition and they need bodies in the room, and if you're here, then you're directly contributing not only to the success of your teammates, to the success of your academy, and as it relates to like the podcast, like we're talking about, like you could be a voice that you could be the very voice that someone hears and they're like, oh, if you're brand new to jiu-jitsu, you have a different perspective than anyone else,
Mm-hmm.
because like, dude, someone's gonna hear that and they're gonna be like, that's relatable, because I haven't, I was thinking about this jiu-jitsu stuff, but then I saw fucking Gordon Ryan juiced up on steroids and shit, and then I decided, no, I don't want to do that. But then I hear this white belt talking, and it's like, oh, this guy's like me. You know what I mean? So you have no
Yeah.
idea. You have no idea the impact that your voice could make in jiu-jitsu. Or, maybe it don't. It doesn't matter, but you won't know until you try, until you go out there.
Exactly.
And another thing
Exactly.
that I never was told about jiu-jitsu is that jiu-jitsu is about servitude, dude. You got to show up
Mm-hmm.
for your teammates. You got to, like if you're not competing, you're show up to the competition just to watch, just to support. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it is a team building thing. Like it's an individual sport. It's an individual journey, but the individual journey is backed by a team effort. And nobody ever really
Yeah.
told me that. That's just something I learned along the way. It's
Exactly, man. Hell yeah. Cause like just like you said, like, yeah, I host a podcast, but my podcast would not be nothing if it wasn't for the other people that do jujitsu.
that's right.
Like, yeah, I can sit here and talk and hours and hours about jujitsu personally, but like, no, I want to hear from everybody else. I want to hear from the quote unquote just the white belt, because like you said, you can be the sole reason someone be like, you know what, I'll give it a shot.
Right.
Because obviously somewhere someone said that same thing to you and you was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot.
That's right.
And you can say, yeah, I'm just a white belt. Guess what? So was I. So was you. So was the next person. So was Gordon Ryan. So was Danaher. Everyone started in the same spot that you started at, as quote unquote just a white belt.
Unless you were born a Gracie.
I know.
Oh,
And then you can, and then
you
that's
came
a
out
different
kicking and
story.
screaming with a black belt around your waist.
I know, right? Just come out the womb, just a horse. Like, come on,
Horse.
dog.
Fucking
Just
A.
come on.
Horse culture.
I know, right?
Lamar, I haven't known you for a long time, man. So like I would like to hear, if you have a few minutes to talk about your jiu-jitsu journey, man. Get to know you a little bit better while I'm here as your guest.
Sure, man. My journey is kind of weird a little bit. I kind of randomly found it. The guy, okay, I said the guy, but my brother now, he's like my brother now because I've been knowing him since I've been training. He used to work at this GNC, and I walked in and he was kind of like a nurse, like holding his arm. And I asked him about it. He's like, yeah, no, I trained jiu-jitsu, blah blah blah. So it's kind of one of those things where I was like, I I think I just turned 30. Yeah, I just turned 30. I was like, man, you know what? I got to get myself in better shape, and whatnot. So linked up with him, and it was kind of one of those things where I was like, I'll give it a shot. What the hell, you know? Did my first class, got smoked. I mean, as per usual, as you
Yeah.
should,
Yes.
because my first class was an open mat class,
Oh fuck.
and yeah, I know, right? So it was open mat, no gi. So obviously I didn't know who, what rank was who. So I just knew just like, okay, this guy is younger than me, so I should be able to take him, or that guy is way older than me, so I should have no problem. And got beat by both. So I was like, well, this can go two ways, one or two ways. I can not do jujitsu or do jujitsu. If I don't do it, it's gonna bother me how the fact that I was manhandled by someone, either I was older and stronger than, or I felt like I had more strength than that person. And I was like, you know what, man, let me just try. So I end up linking that back up with him, and then yeah, he's like, yeah, man, I train here at H2O Martial Arts, and I stepped in, and that was like I was hooked ever since.
Oh yeah, dude. How long
Yeah,
ago was that?
yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been like about 7 years. 7 years
Okay,
ago.
7 years. That's what's up.
Yeah. But what really sealed it for me, what really made me think like, okay, there's something to this jiu-jitsu, was I think like 2 months in, my instructor was getting his black belt.
Nice.
And he got his black belt from now Grandmaster Joe Moera.
Okay.
Now, like, people who know early UFC, he was in one of the earlier UFCs. I think UFC 4, was it UFC 4? I think it was UFC 4.
I'm so bad at remembering numbers and recalling.
Yeah, I know, right? But I once I started to learn about jiu-jitsu, and then like I heard about the Gracies, and then I heard about Joe Moera, and I was like, oh, I used to watch this dude on videotapes, and then to meeting him all in the same, all in the in the same month, seeing my instructor get his black belt, meeting Joe Moera. Now he's like an uncle to me. I can call him right now and say, hey, how you doing? Talk about jiu-jitsu or whatever. And just seeing how much it changed my instructor and how it started to change me, I was like, yeah, man, this is something I could do for a while. So fast forward to here now, man, just trucking along, doing jiu-jitsu as much as I can, trying to give back to the sport. Right now we're trying to open up our own spot, so we're going through the woes of a new, quote unquote, new academy now. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
I feel that, man. I'm restarting my academy in a place where I don't know anybody, and like I'm not even teaching kids right now because our facility is it's not shitty, like it's clean, but like it's not an ideal location. It's not a place I would bring my kid to, you know what I mean? So I can't ask other people to bring their kids, but what I plan on doing is taking the slow route and building a team of like really hard ass competitors, and turning around and letting them be my leadership when I go, and open like a retail spot like I used to have, right? So when that nice retail spot like is within our grasp financially, I will, ideally, I will have a leadership team already built to help me with kids classes, to help me with, competitions and stuff like that, to help cover classes when I'm out of town with competitors, doing the world and doing pans and things like that. So, that's kind of, I like to build it slow like that, so that once we do have a full scale academy where we have all the classes, we have the beginners, we have all levels, adults, we have kids classes, we have teen classes. And once we get back to that point again, like I'll already have an in-house group of badasses that are just like, I trust you guys to cover the academy while I'm gone, So
that's how it's starting to shape for us too.
Yeah.
Like it's me and my training partner. We like I said, we run classes at my house, and we still got people showing up faithfully. And we're like, I'm like, dude, what are y'all doing? Like, y'all training in someone's backyard. Y'all still like, all right, and are we doing jiu-jitsu today? They were like, yeah. All right. So I know once we're able to once we finally get a spot and we know we get stuff moving, man, we'll be all right. We'll be fine.
Oh yeah, for sure,
So,
dude. And it just takes like I had when I went to Atos, I was asking my professor for like advice on business, and
mhm.
they gave me some simple advice that I still carry with me to this day. They said just love jujitsu more than anything. They're like
Yeah.
you don't have kids right now. You know what I mean? Like obviously you can't love jujitsu more than your kids, but you know, uh, above all, after your family, love jujitsu more than anything else. You know what I mean? And you'll be prosperous, and I've
Yeah.
always found that to be true. And sometimes, um, you not sometimes, all the time, you cannot judge the value of a goal by the time that it takes to achieve it. So if it takes you 10 years to get a fully um, functioning academy that actually turns a profit, then you fucking strap yourself in for 10 years. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
what the fuck else are you doing? You know what I mean?
Right. What else are you gonna
You just
do?
grind. Yeah, you just grind away, bro, until you make all your dreams come true, man. Like you just go after it. And you starting this podcast, is a good step in the right direction. You teaching students, even if it's out of your backyard, so fucking what, Porio and Gracie, when he moved to the United States from Brazil, he was cleaning people's houses and teaching people out of his garage, dude. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
you're the only motherfucker in history that's ever done that. You know what I mean? So it's like you just people that believe in what you're doing will invest in you and they'll follow you anywhere. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
have to make sure
And
you're up on your game and teaching quality things, and that you are tolerable. I won't say likable, I'll say tolerable, because
tolerable.
there are some coaches out there that are really, really good coaches, but they're not likable people. Like John Danaher, just sits in the fucking corner and like a hermit, and he may not be like a likable person, but damn, he's a good instructor, and people will,
Right.
he's tolerable enough to be the best people's coach in the world. So you don't have to be likable; you just have to be tolerable. You know what I mean? To be
Yeah.
effective. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I remind myself that quite often, and this is where a lot of people started. Everyone was
oh yeah,
started teaching in their garage, in their backyard, at the beach. Not everyone started with a brick and mortar spot. So,
yeah,
and it's like, all right, man, hey, well, like you said, if we got people that tolerate us enough to be like, all right, I can come here, whenever we can to train, and no matter where we are, as long as we get to train, we train. So it's like, all right, man, as long as y'all keep showing up, man, we're gonna do the best of our abilities to teach y'all everything we can, and until something else happens.
you know what it really is, bro? They're discriminating against us for being Americans. Because look, hear me out. I know so many fucking dudes from Brazil that just came over here, got their visa, got a fucking loan, and they have a $500,000 academy. Like, what the fuck? How did that happen? Oh, they're an immigrant. Oh, so they
Ah,
qualify. They qualify for grants and shit that they don't have to pay back, and that we don't qualify for because we were born in this country.
I
Like,
know,
damn it.
right?
I'm gonna start walking around. Let's talk like this for my brother. Give me a jiu-jitsu school. I'm gonna
Right.
start doing that because maybe somebody will give me some money and I can have a really nice gym.
I know, right?
Hey, you as a black guy, man, there's a lot of fucking Brazilian black guys. Just put on the accent, bro. Maybe you get some
I
sponsorship
gotta.
out.
I'm about to. I know, man. I'm about to sit down, learn my Portuguese, man. Eat some more acai, and
Yeah.
yeah, gotta get it, dude. Something.
You want to see that? I saw you, my brother. And then you
Right, you
want,
guys see my brother.
yeah, you want to worship my God.
I know, right? That's it, man. Hey, man, look, if it gets us into a 50,000 square foot
Yes.
megaplex, then so be
Yes.
it.
Hey, man, you got to do whatever you got to do in this life, bro. If you got to put on a fake accent and pretend to be Brazilian, I'm too white, bro. They're not going to believe I'm Brazilian. They're like, I'm going to go talking like that, and they're going to be like, where's your tan? You racist motherfucker.
Like shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm too white to pull that off, bro. Fuck.
Hey, man. At this point, like you said, man, just get it by any means, man. Get it by any
Hey,
means.
I gotta, we gotta do what we gotta do, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, brother. Well, I ask everybody that comes on the show this question, past or present, man. Who are your top 3 people you would love to get a chance to roll with?
Oh shit. Oh well, Gordon Ryan is definitely up there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to roll with Gordon. Just the feel, you know what I mean? Like, cause people say he's strong and like obviously he's strong, like he juices, you know what I mean? Like he's gone on several podcasts and admitting to that, using PEDs and stuff. So, uh, I some people that roll with Gordon are like, oh, he's just fucking strong and big, and some of them are like, no, even if he was tiny and skinny, he's still that good at jujitsu. And I want to go find out for myself. So I
Right.
get three. I get 3 people. How many people you say? 3? Top
Yeah,
3?
3. Yeah. Top 3.
Past or present?
Past or present.
Ooh, that's good. Ooh, I'm gonna make this good. Uh, and if they're in their past, do I get to roll with them in their prime or as an old man now? Because that's gonna change things.
Oh no, you roll with their prime. I know where you're
In
going
their
with
prime.
this.
In their prime. Okay, okay, I got you. I got you there. I got you. All right, so Gordon would be number 1, right? Because he's modern, right? Like, and then the champion of the yesteryear, who's retired now, Audrey Gracie, obviously.
Of
Like
course.
I wanna feel that. But then like distant past in his prime, everyone talks so much shit, like good shit. I don't mean bad shit, good shit. People talk so much shit about like how Halls was the fucking man back in the day. Even Hickson was like, Halls, yeah, Halls submitted me, like you make me tap. Like I can't do nothing with Halls. I want to feel what Halls Gracie felt like in his prime because by so many he was revered as a man. He obviously passed away in his for those of you guys who are not in the know or like maybe new to jiu-jitsu, Halls passed away in his 30s due to an unfortunate hang gliding accident um,
Yeah, yeah.
in the mountains of Rio de Janeiro. And yeah, I mean, he was taken way too soon. Just another example of that. But Halls
Mm-hmm.
produced, Halls was given a very unique means of travel. Like his mother, when his parents separated, she moved to New York, and his father lived in Brazil. His father
Mm-hmm.
also being Carlos Gracie, but he was raised by Elio Gracie
Mm-hmm.
because at the time Elio wasn't able to have kids, and Carlos had a fuck ton of kids, and he was like, "Here, have one of mine." You know what I mean? Like
Isn't
that
that
was just
wild, bro?
that's the culture back then, man. They were polygamists. I mean, like a lot of people don't want to say that because they think it's disrespectful or whatever. But man, the Gracie were fucking hoes, bro. Like Elio Seneca, Elio Seneca told me like so much shit, bro. When we were when I was spending time with him, and he's like, oh man, he's like the Gracie's horse. He's like, that's why I leave Gracie Baja, like, and he told me all kinds of shit, man. And he's just like, so Halls was raised by Elio, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
Elio always had, and this is according to like all my training with like some of the Gracies and things like that, like with Seneca and Elson Gracie and Helion Gracie, like all the people that I've trained with and collected stories from over the years, like all verify this that like Halls and Elio had like a disconnect, like so because Halls was able to travel to the United States and stay with his mother and get like training from wrestling and stuff like that. Like he got exposed to other kinds of grappling. Halls was the one that like originally was like, yo, we need to make a sport out of this and challenge other grapplers. Like we need to fight these sambo
Yeah.
guys. We need to fight these wrestling guys. Halls actually named the Americana submission after Bob Sapp, who was a catch wrestler from the United States that he met in his travels. He brought him down to
Yep.
Brazil and he started the first Brazilian national wrestling team. And Bob Sapp I'm sorry, not Bob Sapp. Fuck, I can't remember the guy's name. Bob Sapp is a pride fighter.
No, Bob. So
Fuck.
yeah. Oh, it's in the
Can't,
book too.
I can't remember his name. I'm so bad with names. But anyways, this wrestler guy, this catch wrestler guy, fucking came down. We'll have to
All
look at
right.
his name up later. But he came down, man, and like and worked with the Brazilians in their wrestling, and then the International Federation, what's known as the IBJJF today, like was formed by Carlos Gracie Jr. and all of that started with Halls, man. So if I had to pick, yeah, 3, it would definitely be Gordon for modern, the Roger Gracie for the champion of yesteryears and perhaps the greatest of all time, and then Halls. Yeah, Halls made such a monumental impact on training with other styles of grappling and like putting that all together. And if you gave me 4, I would have to say Carlson too, because Carlson was the fucking man, dude. Like he put some of the best MMA fighters, Valley Tudo fighters, jiu-jitsu fighters the world had ever seen. He was just a hard ass man. And
I
I
mean,
respect Carlson a lot.
there's no wrong list because
No, there's so many.
because like you can ask me who's my top 3 today, and then I promise you tomorrow it'll change.
All right, well today, who's your top 3? I want to know your top 3.
Mika Galval
Nice. Good
is
pick.
one. Nikki Rod has always been in my top.
Oh, nice. I like that one.
And he never leaves my list. He changes, but he would never leave my list. Brian Ortega is another person. Yeah, I love their style of jiu-jitsu because I love no gi, so I love the pace that they push and like how much control they have. So it's like, man, I mean, obviously you want to learn from the Gracies, you want to learn from like the fathers of yesteryear, but it's like at the same time, it's like I still want to feel what the new school got. So
yeah, there's like maybe 2 Gracies that, like, not to say that none of them have anything valuable to teach because they obviously do, but like as far as like the direction that jiu-jitsu is headed, there's only really 2 Gracies that I want to really learn from. Is like, me personally, I'm not saying it's wrong for anyone else to learn from. Like, you do what you want. It's jiu-jitsu is a personal journey, but Audrey and Enzo were always seem to be the ones that, like, of our generation, and I'm saying like after Carlson, after Halls, you know what I mean? Audrey and Enzo seem to be the ones that were just really open-minded and letting the sport grow in whatever direction it was going to, and not trying to keep a thumb or keep tabs on like their students and how they were growing. Like, so many people stunt the growth of their students because they won't expose them to all of jiu-jitsu, and that's sad to me.
Whoo, yeah, it's funny you say that, dude, because I'm not gonna say no name. I'm not gonna say no names. But I had a very, very good friend of mine who I talk to this day. Long story short, his instructor kind of like killed his dream and his love for jiu-jitsu, and it was just like, dude, you have so much more to teach. And he's like, I just ain't got it no more. I was just like, God, like, I understand why, but like, oh man, that sucks.
What does the instructor do to him, like, to make him feel that way? Like,
I mean, just like you said, it's like stunt his growth, not necessarily like letting him grow. And then it was just like, hey, when is it time? And I've been a brown belt for X amount of years. I've been training under you. I've been faithful here. I followed you. I followed your schools and everything else. And it's just like, you got to train more. And it's like, what does that mean? So it was just rough, man. So
I would never get to a point where I let one man or one woman fucking destroy jiu-jitsu for me, man. Like, it's such a permanent installment in my life. If I get injured and I go a couple of days without rolling, I physically feel sad. Like, not only just like my emotions, but also the way I project my emotions. Like I just feel like fuck the world because I can't roll. Like, it's that ingrained in me. I can't see letting, like, because obviously when I went through my history earlier, like I've had a few instructors, and it's just like whether we parted on good terms or bad terms is irrelevant. It's like the fact that we parted at all, like, you're not gonna keep me from enjoying this, man. And to your friend, I would just say, man, don't let one person live in your head rent free like that, like, keep you from enjoying jiu-jitsu. There are other instructors out there, perhaps even better instructors. If his instructor's not like fucking one of the top 5 like instructors in the world, then there's probably better instructors out there to learn from. You know what I mean?
That's true. That
blind loyalty shit, man. I just don't.
I pick with him a lot about it though. I keep like, man, just come back, bro. Just come back, bro. We'll get him back. We'll get him back. I'm not gonna give up on this dream. I'm not gonna give up on it. I'll have him back.
I hope so, man. Like, that makes me sad to hear things like that, because it just does so much good for people, man.
Man, it's rough, but that's what that sometimes happens that way, man. You devote your time to something, and then you're just kind of being put off at the on the back burner or whatever the reason may be. Is like, I don't know, man. But
life happens, and you like sometimes fall off, man. it sucks, but it's like, that does happen to a lot of people. But everybody has a different experience in jujitsu. Like that's never happened to me. Like I've had times that I thought about quitting, but then like I always had students that I was responsible for. So like my students really, from the day I got my black belt, I was like every person I've ever taught like has a part in this because like
Yeah.
there were so many fucking times that I thought about quitting and then I looked around the room and I'm like, fuck, I'm responsible for all these people. Like if I quit, what message am I sending? Like what is that gonna do to their confidence? Like so my students, man, really propelled my progress forward. Like I always felt like if I had to do it just for me, I wouldn't have pushed myself that hard. But because I had people looking to me, like I
Yeah.
always felt like I have to give my best, man. Like I cannot put my head to sleep at night without giving my best. And the fact that jujitsu makes you want to quit gives you so much power in other outlets of your life. Like you want it to make you want to quit because when you don't, that gives you so much power in other areas of your life. Because like you
Yeah.
think about how hard marriage is, how hard being a kid, how hard being a parent are when you have kids, and how hard your jobs can be sometimes. Like you remember that none of that stuff is hard and it's mentally and emotionally draining, but it's not hard as getting stuck under some fucking world champion in side control or getting fucking strangled by some tiny little dude who's just gonna fucking rear naked just fucking killing you, right?
Yeah.
None of that is physically as hard as jujitsu. So like if you can get through jujitsu, bro, like you can kind of mitigate these little and like these little nicks and fucking bumps and bruises you get, emotionally and mentally. You know what I mean? It's not as hard as jujitsu, dog. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and
You know?
I say that all the time, man. Like jujitsu, when people always say like, "Oh, jujitsu saved my life," like, no, seriously, jujitsu has definitely saved my life in so many ways, more ways than I can count, man. Because yeah, so I mean, just
Speak of,
just make a super long story short. Like, yeah, if it wasn't for jujitsu, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all.
bro, if it wasn't for jujitsu, I don't know that I would be breathing, man. Like I tell you, like
Exactly,
when
exactly.
I found jujitsu, I was at such a fucking rough point in my life, dude. Like I literally wanted to die. Like I didn't want to be here anymore. I think the only reason I did not commit suicide when at the point when I found jujitsu, the only reason I didn't commit suicide is because when I was 13, my best friend hung himself, right?
Mm,
And I remember how everyone around me just was so sad and hurt. And I remember my own feelings of being so sad and hurt. So like I never got to a point where I would actually go through with it, but because I didn't want to hurt the people that I love. But man, there was a time, dude, that I was just like, God, I hope I get hit by a fucking car today. You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
God, let some stupid motherfucker like, stab me or some shit. Like I just want to be gone. And like now I'm so far like removed from that line of thinking that like that was just a different person. That was
yeah,
pre-white
totally
belt. That
different
was
person.
pre-starting jujitsu, person. And now I'm a black belt with students of my own and like, competition experience. And like I've been around the country competing and learning. And, it's a totally different life that jujitsu gave me. Jujitsu gave me my, not only my life back, but it's how I met my wife. And then
Yeah,
from that, we formed an academy and got better together and became established coaches and established competitors. And then from that interaction, now we have an academy and we're now parents because of jujitsu. So like, you know, jujitsu gave me my life back, man. So yeah, when people say jujitsu saved my life, and I know some people say that shit just because it looks good on a t-shirt, but literally, dude, you wouldn't be talking to me if I had not started this fucking path. Like I wanted to die, you know.
yeah, man. I mean, that's like I said, I'm in that same boat, man. I done had a lot of dark days before I
Mhm.
started jujitsu. A crap ton of dark days while doing jujitsu. But those would be those days where I know for a fact I can go to the gym. I can, get a couple rows in. I
Fuck
can
yeah,
just,
dude.
call my instructor before class and kind of have a talk with him. He's like, all right, I know what class is gonna be about. Get the class.
Yep.
Oh, we just gonna roll today. We just gonna roll all day.
No, yeah.
So yeah, so yeah,
I
man.
tell I tell my guys all the
Jiu-jitsu is
time, dude. I tell them, I say, man, like if you're depressed and you feel like shit and you feel like you want to lay the fuck down, lay down on these mats, bitch. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
don't go lay down in the bed like what the fuck? Like, you're supposed to be building mental rigidity here, man. Like, you're supposed to do hard shit. It's supposed to be difficult. You know what I mean? And then when you get to the end of the like it's so difficult and it feels like it's never gonna end while it's going on. But then when it finally does end, you feel so good. I have never left a training session feeling bad ever.
Never.
And if you do leave a training session feeling bad, it's not because of jujitsu, bro. It's because you can't get that fucking shit in your personal life out of your mind. So what I tell my students is, look, when you come in here, leave your shit at the door. Like, don't bring it in here.
Leave it.
Don't bring that intensity into your roles and all that shit like that. Like, don't try to hurt your training partner because your wife pissed you off before you fucking left, or because your boss is an asshole or whatever. The fuck, leave that shit at the door. But also, this is what no one ever told me. When things don't go right on the mat, like you're getting dominated, you're getting fucked up, and your mind's all cloudy and shit like that because the wife made you mad, or the boss pissed you off, or whatever the case may be, right? Maybe you're depressed, maybe you're sad about something, right? Check that shit at the door. But also, if that affects your performance, like cognitively, right? Right? When you leave the academy, don't take your fucking performance with you back home to your wife, right? Back home to your kids. Don't back to your work the next day. Don't take your performance on the mat. So leave everything where it's appropriate. Leave your fucking outside shit out there, and everything that happens in the academy. Don't take it. They're not transferable. Right? So like, yeah, dude, like you don't nobody ever told me until I was deep into my purple belt. Like, I was almost a brown belt. And I think this is some of the best advice ever, is like, do not let your performance as a grappler define your worth as a person. Right? Do not let your performance as a grappler define your worth as a person. That's huge to me, man. Like, I make sure that all of my students understand that, because at the end of the day, when I take them to the tournament, you know, and sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. When we win, I'm happy. When we lose, guess what? I'm also fucking happy, because a lot of people in jiu-jitsu, they focus on why. They have, like, if they lose or if they have a hard roll or something, if they don't compete, they're always like, why did that happen? And the first thing your brain goes to, well, I had a bad day. I ate heavy breakfast, or, you know, I didn't hydrate enough today. Stop. Just shut the fuck up, dude. Stop it. Stop. That is not why. Or that is why. You're asking yourself the wrong question. What? That's the question you need to be asking, is what? When you do jiu-jitsu, it should be like, and this is what guys do on the highest level, man. And like, fact check me if you don't fucking believe me, but go to any high level camp. This is what the pros do, man, is they ask themselves what, not why. Okay, so what's the difference? The difference is why. You're listing all these emotional reasons, all these fucking feelings, and, you know, things that you want people to have empathy for. When you ask what, you're talking about like a structure. So imagine jujitsu is a construction job, right? I've never worked construction, but I have some friends in that field, and they've explained to me how it works enough that kind of can relate it to jiu-jitsu, right? So in construction, you go through the blueprint stage, right? Where you put out all your designs. You have a designer that goes through, they make all these adjustments, and they put this thing together, bop, 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 right? And if one piece is missing, then the whole structure falls, right? So when you're in the blueprint stage, that sounds a lot like drilling, right? Like, you're putting it all together. You're saying, hey, this is supposed to fit here. That's supposed to fit there. Dot, 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 dot. It's a structure, right? Especially when you're playing defense, like someone's coming through your guard, you're making frames. You have to have something to support that body weight coming through. Yeah. So that when you're drilling, you're in the blueprint stage. Now you have the second stage where you actually start building. So what does that look like in terms of jiu-jitsu? That's your rolling, dude. You're building stuff. So when you take it to a construction job and you say, why the fuck did this building fall down? You don't be like, well, I was having a bad day and the wife fucking pissed me off, and, you know, I'm fucking feel like I'm having a heart attack because I'm having anxiety and shit. No, you don't say that. You're like, well, that beam wasn't there. Like, you didn't put that pin in right. And, you know, if you start looking at your jiu-jitsu like that, dude, you will be way more successful.
Yeah,
you will get better so much fucking faster. You will. You'll be like, fuck, that dude was coming through with a knee cut. I forgot to frame on his shoulder. He turned his shoulder down. He went chest to chest with me. And by then it was too late. And then I didn't get my frames in. Like, take ownership of your fucking mistakes. Ask yourself what, not why.
Accountability.
Yeah. What went wrong?
Accountability.
Not why did it go wrong? That is the thing, man. So
Yeah.
that's a big thing in my academy. Like, I always tell them, make sure you appropriate things, and make sure that you are in the blueprint stage. You are like, when we're drilling, that you're paying attention to the blueprint, the plan, because when it comes time to put all this shit together at the end of the night, you know what I mean? I don't want you leaving here saying why you didn't do good. I want you saying what you need to work on.
Right. What do I need to do to get better? Yep.
Yes.
That's it.
It's the only question you should be asking yourself.
Yep. What can I do to prevent what just happened?
Yes.
That's it. That is it. Well, all right, brother. Unless you got anything else you want to add, or any other questions for me, fire away. If not, shout out what you got going on, your school and whatever else you want to, talk about. Man, the floor is all yours.
Yeah. So you guys can follow my academy at Square One JJ. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Check us out there. If you want to follow me personally, I'm on Instagram at The Garden Grappler. And what my page is about is cannabis and jiu-jitsu, basically. So, like, cannabis is another love of mine. I work in the industry here in Missouri for Vivid Cannabis, and they're one of the leading, like, concentrate distributors in the Midwest, and very proud to work with those people. They are they're something else, man. I mean, they have a the way that we approach jiu-jitsu, like all technical and like scientific and shit like that, they do that with cannabis. And I learned quite a lot working with those geniuses every day. A lot of people, when I tell them I work in the cannabis industry, they think we're all like fucking sitting in a lounge chair with our flip-flops, trimming weed, with fucking wearing Grateful Dead t-shirts and shit. It's like, nah, bitch, I wear scrubs every day, and I work in a lab. So and I work with one of our owners has a master's degree in oh shit, what's his degree in? He has a master's degree in biomechanical engineering. Dude's fucking hella smart. And
hella smart.
Some of the things that we do, man, there at Vivid Cannabis are just groundbreaking. And hopefully when weed is legal in all 50 states, hopefully we'll be able to do some cross, like go nationwide with our company. That's the end goal, anyways, is to be in every single state. And hopefully you guys will get to see some of that in the future, like in the distant future. That's the plan, anyways.
Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it very much.
Well, yeah, on Instagram, you can follow me at The Garden Grappler. That's where you'll find my weed and jiu-jitsu content. And if you don't like weed, that's cool. Like, it's not for everybody. I do not. I'm not one of those people that think like everybody should smoke weed. Like, that's fucking. It's for some people. It's not for some people. There's definitely people out there that should not be smoking.
Yeah.
You just have to be. You have to be aware of how it interacts with your endocannabinoid system, and and if it is for you, you also have to be aware with like genetics and strain specifics and things like that. I mean, it just gets super complicated, just like jiu-jitsu. We could do a whole podcast on just weed, but those are the two things other than my family, like my family and then jiu-jitsu and then cannabis are the passions of my life, and they're pretty much my life's work. So if you want to follow me on that, check it out. But if not, you're more than welcome to follow my academy at Square One JJ.
Awesome, man. Well, it was great talking to you, man. I'm happy we finally got the chance to do this. So, down the line, man, if you ever want to come back, dude, you're always welcome.
Bro, I would love to. I enjoyed talking to you, and I'd love to get to know you more and talk about some topics for the next time, dude. I would love to do this again. And also, I'm going to be doing some seminars. I'm trying to branch out a little bit. I've been a black belt in November for a year, and I just kind of want to get out and do some seminars. So if you guys would like to have me at your academy for a seminar, you can email me at square1jj@gmail.com. And I'd love to come out to your academy. I can make it worth your time and make it really, really inexpensive for you because like right now I'm nobody. I'm trying to get established as a black belt. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got you, man. I'll definitely, once we get our spot, when we get our spot, I'll let you know, man. I would love for you to come out and do a seminar, man.
Yeah, I would love to, man. And then, like you said, you like doing the no gi, and I only train in the gi with my students now, man. Like when I go other places to train, I pretty much only do no gi, so that would be kind of perfect.
Hey man, hey, gi, no gi, both, man. We
Yeah.
do it all, man.
Oh yeah, bro.
All right, man. Well, that's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank Joshua one more time for coming on the show and blessing us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure you go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.